Welcome to exploring the mystical side of life.
My name is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com, and I'm here with the Heart Soul's Heart intuitive coach, Sonia Grover. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you. Very pleased to be here.
So Sonia works with sound healing, with stones and crystals, symbols, and is a channel. And later on in this episode, Sonia's going to treat us to a sound bath with a Moldavite bowl. But before we get to that, let's chat a little bit about the qualities of this amazing little stone.
I've always loved Moldavite, and my knowing and what I've been told about Moldavite and read, because there's a lot written about Moldavite, is that it is an otherworldly stone or an asteroid that has fallen to the earth, and that there was a limited amount. And for me, I've always associated it with connecting to your third eye and your crown and to all that is. But for me, any crystals can work in any way. But it's certainly the first time I came across Moldavite, and I can't even remember how long ago it was, it had such a gentle but deep energy resonance that it just felt so much lighter than some of the other, still beautiful, but some of the other crystals. So for me, that's kind of my feeling about Moldavite.
Well, I find it very interesting, Sonia, because a lot of people have a reaction to Moldavite. Sometimes they get a little woozy feeling, or almost like travel sickness, or headache.
I'm very lucky that I have my own big piece of Moldavite in the form of a crystal bowl. The bowls really come about, and some of your viewers may know this, there's crystals in every single computer. And they say that what happened was somebody was taking the crystals out and throwing them into the corner in the old computers or whatever, some big companies, and then they realized it made a sound. And from that, so these have been about, I believe, around for sort of 30 to 50 years, probably nearer the 50 years. And that's how they first started with crystal bowls. And predominantly it was clear quartz at first, but then they got more refined and then started to use specific crystal in a certain way to mold these bowls. So the bowls, the crystal is melted and poured like glass into a mold, and then fired in a kiln. And so this is pure Moldavite, and I'm a little bit precious about this because these are sort of about in pounds, 800 to 1,000 pounds. So I'm not sure what that converts to other currencies, but yeah, they're not cheap. And what's so interesting about this bowl is that when I got it, and I've got a number of bowls, and this one didn't play much to start off with. And I couldn't play them for more than about 5-10 minutes to start off with, because it was just too much for me. The vibration was too strong. And I was guided to get these bowls because I got told that we are moving, I think a lot of people have heard of this, that we're moving from a carbon-based form to a crystalline form. And so I was guided to get the bowls and a crystal harp and work with crystal instruments. And I have actually asked what that actually means, you know, this crystalline form. And I've been told, well, kind of, it's not been predetermined yet, and we don't actually know exactly what that means from a physical sense. We know what it means from a spiritual, emotional, and mental sense, because we're all going through it, we're all evolving. And so, you know, all of our senses are becoming heightened. So we all know, and we're all experiencing something. But I asked what it meant physically, and I was sort of told, well, we don't really know yet, and you're not quite ready for it. so I think it's one of those yet to be decided, you know. So yeah, so that's why I was guided to use the crystal bowls and to work with that to help us, whoever it resonates with, to move from a carbon-based form to a crystalline form. And what's happened with the Moldavite is it sometimes doesn't actually play. I will be with groups of people and I will try playing it and it won't play. And I've learned that it won't play because it's not right for those people at that time. Because for me, the vibration of it is not a vibration that's right for them at that moment in time. However, dear little Moldavite has been playing amazingly.
That's absolutely amazing, Sonia. When you work with people, how do you know they're ready for Moldavite?
Typically, I sense it, but if I haven't sensed it for whatever reason, it just won't play. so it tells me, you know. So most of the time now it does play. Very occasionally it does, but most of the time it does. But I know, when I'm playing, I just instinctively know how much to play it or not play it.
So have you ever had anyone have a physical reaction?
Well, funny you should say that, because actually from Sunday, I mean, this is obviously the most recent one. I had a client that was there. We did a sort of an energy share, and then we did a large sound bath. And she's having to come to see me tomorrow because she's had such a reaction from the Moldavite. She actually specifically said the Moldavite. So yes, it does happen with the other bowls, but in terms of a much more intense, for me, a much more intense effect can be with the Moldavite. It's the one most often when people say, yeah, something was happening and I'm not sure what bowl it was. And most of the time it's the Moldavite, and it's affecting them in what I would say are, I'm going to say, bringing down the veils. So, you know, I think most people know that when we're reborn, we have these veils of amnesia where we've kind of forgotten past lives and other things, and all our links and our DNA links and all those amazing things. And so what we all seem to be going through is layers or veils, or whatever words we want to call, are kind of being let go, sometimes very strongly, deeply, and sometimes more subtly. And then when that happens, it seems to reveal to us more of who we are and more of who we can be, and our infinite potential. So yeah, sometimes it can actually be physical things that you're told, or that you get given, and sometimes it's just your senses have expanded, and you're just not quite sure what's going on, because you can hear more, you can see more, whether that be from a human perspective or through the extra senses like clairsentience and clairaudience. So yeah.
And I do believe that Moldavite can bring up things into your awareness that need healing, and is definitely one of the stones that can help propel you to live more authentically.
Yeah. So what I always say to people, especially when I'm working with sound one-to-one or in groups, is to have an intention. So it might be that some people can only think of an intention of, oh, I've got this physical pain or this issue or something else. But I always then add, okay, so if all that comes to you is pain to let go of or something along those lines, I want you now just to spend a few moments bringing in what the opposite of that is. So it's all very well letting it go, but let's make sure that while we're working with these crystalline instruments, that we are replacing it with its polar opposite, for want of a better word.
Yeah, exactly. Because
yeah.
Nature abhors a vacuum. That's something I always say. When I pull energy out, I replace it with really high vibration spiritual energy.
Yeah. Otherwise, I've let go of it. There's a vacuum, and then, oh, whatever it is could potentially fill it, the same old stuff, or something else, but not something that we've intended. And of course, I think we're still all learning that our co-creation and our evolution is through intention, through visualization intention. Sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter how much we know this, you know, we're still all learning it, aren't we? We're still all learning it from a moment to moment basis. So, you know, especially, you know, if we're working with the sound or something else, that if we can just be very clear on our intention.
And so a person could really have a very general type of intention, like the highest healing in the moment, It doesn't have to be a specific emotion or memory that someone needs to heal. But if something comes up for them during the sound bath,
Yes.
then you would recommend just to sit with that memory or that emotion and allow Moldavite to do its magic?
I mean, what I would say is that typically I would ask people to be still. Typically, I would prepare them so they are in a space where they can receive information for their highest good of what their intent would be. So this is what I would advise people. And it might be that the intent they get, as you say, is just, I generally want to feel better. I generally want to feel happier or more peaceful. But it's coming from a place of where they're in a place of stillness and calmness, and therefore the right information is coming to them. So if during the sound bath something comes up, what I would say is to just make sure that you have already set the intent that if anything comes up during the sound bath, then let whatever it is to be released and transformed and transmuted and be replaced with whatever is for my highest good from the universe. So that way, there doesn't need to be any so much conscious interaction of, oh, crumbs, this has come up for me now, and I've now got my brain going. This has come up for me, and I'm remembering this. Oh, crumbs, so what do I replace it with? I don't know. We've already pre-programmed that. We've already said that, and then that's just going to happen.
The mind can get in the way sometimes.
Yeah, I think for all of us still, because we're learning, aren't we, to be the soul within the human body. And so it's going to be a continual path of evolution and wherever that takes us. So yes, so pre-intend that if that does come up, to just let the universe replace whatever you're willing to let go of with whatever's appropriate at the highest level of vibration for you at this time.
Perfect, perfect. So is there anything else you would like to share about Moldavite or about the experience of a sound bath before we get started?
What I've found with these, which is really interesting, and it's only been recently, my crystal bowls have actually taught me to tone. And sometimes people have heard it and said, I couldn't, were you toning? I couldn't tell if that was you or the crystal bowl. And the lovely thing is, only recently, probably in the last few months, and very, very powerfully on 11/11, my dear little baby here has taught me to tone with her or him. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of announce that and say I'm really pleased.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I'm very excited to experience a Moldavite sound bath. I'm going to give the floor to you and just take whatever time you need. When you sense it's finished, then come back and we'll chat a little bit more. Okay?
Okay. So I'm just about to do a sound bath with the Moldavite bowl, and if everybody could just get themselves in a place that's comfortable for them, where they're not going to be disturbed. It doesn't matter if you're sitting or lying, and you can by all means watch what I'm doing, but it's not about the performance, it's about the sound vibrating through you. So often, for most people, it's more effective with the eyes closed. And just as we mentioned earlier, to go through and have an intention of what you would like to release or be replaced with. And if there's nothing that comes to mind now, then just to say, can I let go of whatever's appropriate for me with the vibrations of the Moldavite at this time that is for my highest good, and to replace it with the highest level of vibration that's right for me at this time as I let go.
That was lovely, Sonia. I can still feel the effect of Moldavite. It feels like it's still creating its magic or doing something energetic in my system. So I'd like to thank you for sharing that. With this sound bath, it just felt like an area deep, deep inside my head, in the area of pineal gland, pituitary gland, in that area, and just like a beautiful, brilliant light just shining and shining and shining.
Mm.
So it feels very peaceful for me today.
It's, I think, like anything, any experiences we have, they're always unique to us. So generally speaking, a lot of people do feel this sense of calm within their head. And I always talk of it as being the pineal, pituitary, third eye, crown area. But a lot of people do feel it elsewhere. So a lot of people can feel a tingling all over as well. So that's what's so, amazing. And we know it's like that with crystals. And so this is like using the crystal to create the crystal vibration. Fantastic. I love them. I love my bowl.
Fantastic. Now, do you recommend that people clear Moldavite if they're working with it, or do you clear your bowls?
It's interesting. I have never consciously felt that I've needed to clear my bowls. And for me, it's because it's like they're self-clearing because they're playing and the sound that they're making is clearing that. However, I do believe that with pieces of crystals, that will be unique to each person. We're all aware of citrine and its elements of self-clearing. However, for me, it just depends on the crystal, where it is, what I've used it for. So I could have one crystal that I feel I never have to cleanse, and then one day I'll use it and I'll feel I need to cleanse it. So what I believe is opening up for all of us is that we're realizing that we are co-creating, we are evolving, and everything that we experience is perfect for us, which may be the same as the person next door or could be totally different. And that applies to everything.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
So everyone, pay attention. And if you get that sense that it's time to cleanse, then it's time to cleanse. Sonia, it's been delightful to have you back on Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. Would you like to share your contact information?
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me back. It's been magical. And as we've been talking, the sun has been setting outside. You can't see it, but I've got a beautiful sunset that I'm looking out at. So that's fantastic. Yes, it's Sonia Grover at Heart Souls with an S on the end, heart.com, where you'll find me.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I encourage you to check Sonia out. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to the channel. That's it for this week. Bye for now.